I'm Ric Edelman. Technological innovation is advancing rapidly. We're going to take a look at some technologies that will soon be changing your life. Also, when is it okay to dip into your retirement savings? Is it okay to buy a car with that money? I'll let you know. And advice on what you should do the next time stock prices drop. All that and much more on this edition of The Truth About Money.
This program is funded in part by TD Ameritrade. At TD Ameritrade, we support investors and independent registered investment advisors every day, providing access to tools, research, and educational resources that help you pursue your goals with confidence.
I'm Ed Burns. I've spent a lot of time around cameras. However, I've never actually swallowed one before. Till now. It's a camera the size of a pill that lets your doctor see inside of you. That's kind of awesome.
Technology is evolving. We believe the way to invest should evolve as well. A prospectus is available at 1-800-iShares, which includes investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information that you should read and consider carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal.
I'm Ric Edelman, and the truth about money is that everyone should be able to create the best financial future possible. But sometimes what appears to be a solid investment goes sour. Then what? The answer is just dollars and cents.
Hi, Rick. My name is Ashley. We currently live in a townhouse here in Annapolis, Maryland, and we have outgrown it with our 2 young girls, and we are hoping to buy a new home. However, we are underwater in our current property, and we were wondering if a bank will be less willing to give us a loan if we have good credit because we're underwater in our current property.
Well, it's obvious you're not going to be able to get a loan on a new home until you sell the old one. And you're not going to be able to sell the old one if you can't sell it for as much as you owe that lender. In other words, you need to engage in what's called a short sale. In a short sale, it works like this. You borrowed, say, $200,000, but the house is only worth, say, $150,000. This scenario has happened to millions and millions of people over the past 5 years, as we all know. So you're underwater in that example. What you got to do is sell the house for $150 grand, but you still owe the bank $200. There are only 2 solutions. You cough up the extra 50 grand, or you get the bank to agree to forgive the extra 50 grand. That's called a short sale. Oh, by the way, engaging in that might hurt your credit record because you're basically saying to a new lender that you stiffed the old lender. The good news is you got out from under that debt. The bad news is you'll find it more difficult to qualify for your new loan. So first things first, you need to talk to your current lender to see if they would be willing to engage in a short sale with you. If so, you need to go about the process of selling that house. And after you go through that process, you're ready to go examine the opportunity for buying a new home. But I think you should move rather slowly. There's a lot going on in your life. And rather than talking merely to lenders, mortgage brokers, and real estate agents, you should add a financial planner to your list to make sure that what you're doing is in fact in your best interests. We go from New York to Hollywood to ask just one question, Celebrity Edition. What is the purpose of money?
Money pleasures you. It doesn't buy happiness. It's not the root of all evil. It's fertilizer. You know, you want to use it and eliminate it.
Oh, it's always better to be rich because you can help poor people. That makes me sound self-important and noble. But it's never good to worry where your next dollar is coming from. Of course not. If I would ever win the lottery, I already picked my charities out. You can live a good life and be very rich and be a very rich philanthropist too. That's the key.
Money means the ability to help other people to me. That is really what it means. So that means that I can help my grandchildren, my nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, and be able to contribute to charity.
More than 1 million people serve in our nation's military. I was honored recently to help some of them deal with their financial questions. Here's the truth about money at Fort Belvoir.
I am looking to purchase a reliable and dependable car. I'm not able right now to afford a car note, but I have a few savings. I have an annuity, a mutual fund, a Roth IRA, and a thrift savings plan. Which one of those should I use to just purchase the car right out?
None of the above. The annuity is very similar to an IRA, and the IRA is very similar to the thrift savings plan. All three of those are designed for retirement savings purposes. And if you were to withdraw the money from any one of those three, you would not only pay taxes, but also a 10% penalty. So that is too big a cost. Not only is it too big a cost to incur right now, it would have a very adverse effect on your future retirement balance, and I'm more concerned about that than I am about anything else. So do you have any money in savings other than those accounts? You mentioned the mutual fund, but do you have money in a bank, for example, in ordinary savings?
Yes, I do.
That's the money to look at using to help you buy the car. And if necessary, you have to go to a fallback position. You said you wanted a reliable automobile, an inexpensive, reliable automobile. You might have to give up on one of those words. You might have to give up on inexpensive. You might have to give up on reliable. You might have to give up on automobile. We might have to go to motorcycle. We might have to go to beat up used car. We might have to go to some alternatives, such as car sharing systems that now exist. If you look online, there are a variety of sites that allow you to use an automobile on an hourly basis. It's a new version of car rentals, where instead of renting a car for the day, you literally rent it for the brief period of time you use it. You might want to look at a sharing arrangement with others who are in the very same situation as you. Chances are you don't all need the car at the same time, and you can community-wise pool resources into a job sharing or car sharing arrangement. So you might need to get creative. The most effective thing to do is to look very carefully at that middle word, which was reliable, and recognize, depending on your driving needs, how many miles you drive and how far you drive and such, reliability is a word that can be modified. If you're driving long distances, that's one thing. But if you're just tooling around the base or you're staying local with it, then the nature of that automobile may change dramatically. So it could require a change of thinking, but I would feel very strongly, don't touch the thrift plan, don't touch the IRA, don't touch the annuity.
Thank you.
Hello, Rick. My name's Richard, and I'm facing some of the dilemmas that most of the people here are facing. I'm looking at long-term care. And currently, I have been looking at a policy that I could pay up front a large lump sum and then possibly get it back if I don't use it. It does have an escalation clause in it that's 3 to 4%, and I'm also interested in whether I should go that direction or if I should just invest my money.
We are not fans, generally speaking, of pre-funded long-term care policies. There are two ways you can buy a long-term care policy. One is you pay as you go. So every month or every year you pay for the premium, and next year you keep on paying for it and you pay as you go. The other is you make a single, very large payment right now, and it's fully paid up. You never have to make another payment forever. The reason we don't like that idea is twofold. Number one, you need an awful lot of cash right now that you could have used in other ways. Second, you are gambling that the insurance company is going to stay in business for the next 30 or 40 years and is going to deliver on the promises that they have laid out in this contract. There isn't a strong economic motivation, meaning they're not giving you this policy at such a huge discount, it's worth paying up front for it. And you do have the risks associated with the delivery of the promises by the contract. So we're not a really big fan, generally speaking. We have seen a few isolated cases due to the client's unique circumstances where it was the preferred course of action. But I must say that is an exception basis. Out of 100 cases, maybe 2 or 3, we would say that's the best choice. So without knowing more about you, I would say odds are high paying as a single large upfront payment is not in your best interest.
It would be just better to give you the money to invest and then possibly.
What we would recommend is you take the money, invest it, generate income off of it, and use that income to make the premium payment.
Thank you.
What percentage of Americans who reach age 65 will need long-term health care at some point? A, 20%, B, 45%, C, 95%, or D, 70%? Stay tuned for the answer, coming right up.
What is the most significant technological game changer of the 21st century so far? Many scientists, manufacturers, and investors say it's 3D printing. In this week's Future Finance segment, Avi Reichental, one of the world's leading developers of 3D printers, explains how these machines will have an impact on every facet of our lives.
Well, 3D is the ability to take any material, hundreds of them now, metals, plastics, rubbers, waxes, and to deposit them one layer at a time to create a geometry that's fully functional. The idea of being able to make anything that you want in a quantity of 1 or 1 million with complete freedom of creation, without inventory, without tooling, without setups, in a way that could be localized and distributed, I think changes everything. It changes how we study, how we create, how we manufacture. It levels the playing field for garage entrepreneurs versus the deep-pocketed corporations. And together with the convergence of AI and robotics and infinite computing in the cloud and very cheap and accurate sensors that allow you to digitize everything, I think catalyzes all the exponentials for a very exciting period of converging technologies that are going to be fertile ground for new businesses, another industrial revolution, and a real boom in competitive advantage for countries and economies that will seize it. It changes everything.
But I think, as exciting as it sounds, I still think that a lot of folks are saying, I don't get it. What do we mean by 3D printing? I mean, we understand what it takes to print a piece of paper, but what is this 3D thing?
So this happens to be a part that was designed for the F-35. You take it from a digital solid model, you slice that model in your computer, just like you would slice an apple, and then you reassemble it physically, one layer at a time. And the complexity of making something like this in a traditional fashion is mind-blowing. Here you can do it in one piece.
Show me something else that ordinary consumers would be able to instantly recognize and say, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, no, and that's the new Americana guitar, which has the entire New York City skyline encapsulated inside of the guitar in very precise detail. And if that's not cool enough, then how about my latest clutch purse? And what you can do with this is you can design it yourself, or you can co-create it with your famous artist.
Which would suggest that retailers or product manufacturers might no longer sell pocketbooks. They may sell the schematics to the pocketbook.
They may sell files.
So it's only literally limited by your imagination.
By imagination and by passion.
So I'm no longer going to go to a shoe store to buy a pair of shoes. I'm going to go online, choose the design I like, alter the colors as much as I wish, and then press print, and out my pair of shoes will come.
That will happen probably in the next 5 to 10 years.
It sounds very exciting, and most people are really obviously enthusiastic about this. But there is a disruptive nature behind this.
There's going to be a lot of disruption, and you're absolutely right. It's going to redefine supply chain as we know it. It's going to redefine time to market as we know it. It's going to redefine what kind of jobs people will have in the future and what kind of skills will be required. And it's going to create lots of opportunities for people that will embrace it and run with it.
Tell me what this all means for investors.
And investors should look at companies that are forward-thinking and are positioning themselves for these exponential growth opportunities, because in my mind, we're living in one of the most exciting periods in recorded human history. And so investors should look at companies that figured out how to strategically and tactically reinvent themselves with this in mind, because those are going to be the companies that you'll read about. Those are going to be the future Googles and the future Apples of this world.
What percentage of Americans who reach age 65 will need long-term health care at some point? The answer is D. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services National Clearinghouse for Long-Term Care Information, of those Americans who reach age 65, 70% will need long-term care and 40% will have spent time in a nursing home.
My job is to help you plan for your financial future. And every week, my colleagues Anderson Wozni and Brandon Corso are on the radio with me answering your questions. We've got Tom on the phone from Northport, Florida. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the program.
Hi. A question on what your firm does when the market's making one of its big crashes. Do you go to cash or do you just ride it out?
Think about what you just asked, Tom. Think about it in just pure simplistic terms. After the stock market goes down, do you sell? That's basically what you've asked. And this is the classic mistake that so many millions of investors make all the time. Think about what you did in 2008. Remember what was going on prior to 2008. At the top of 2007, the Dow was 14,000. Everybody was throwing money at the stock market. People couldn't wait to invest in stock mutual funds on the stock market itself. And then in 2008, when the market began to fall 65% in value, people were selling. So people were buying high, selling low, and then scratching their heads wondering, how come I can't seem to make any money at this thing?
Yeah. But Tom's question is so common and natural.
Right.
And it's understandable, but there's never been an individual that has been able to time markets, because that's the other possibility. Tom's saying, well, why don't you just get out before the market goes down?
Instead of waiting for the crash, get out before the crash.
Well, that's the problem. Nobody knows when the crash is coming. You can get lucky, but you can just as easily get unlucky.
But you've got to be lucky twice, and that's the struggle.
Well, explain. Why do you have to be lucky twice?
Well, because if you go to cash, you've got to time that, and then you've got to get back invested, right? So you've got to make two decisions that ultimately help you.
I met a client, first time a visitor to our office, brand new client, and he showed me that he predicted the crash. He got out in 2007. And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. When did you get back in? He said, I'm still in cash. So he missed the entire recovery. In other words, he got out at 14,000 and he's in cash. So I was like, in other words, by being right once, you didn't accomplish anything.
Well, and if he sat in cash for that period of time, then he didn't make any money either.
Well, and not only the dividends, right, but the drop we had from 2007 to 2009 was, let's call it 50% in stock. So it was a massive drop. But if somebody was well-diversified, perhaps they had a healthy exposure to bonds, what did bonds do? They skyrocketed over that period of time.
Exactly. So if your tendency, Tom, was to say, if you went to cash when it was falling, I want to hire you, you're thinking about it all backwards, you're doing it all backwards. What you need to do is recognize that you need to hire a professional advisor who can do it the right way, dispassionately, objectively, because after all, it's not my money, it's your money, and I'm not as emotionally tied up in it. But now...
Quiz time?
Yeah, it's quiz time. I know you're terribly excited about this. A group life insurance policy provided by your employer will stay in effect if you leave your job. True or false?
False.
False.
60% got this correct.
Oh, that's good.
Everybody else got it wrong. Planning for your financial future is no joke. Well, at least it's not supposed to be. Here are some words of wisdom from the comics at the DC Improv.
Even dating is so expensive now. Online dating, that's not even taboo anymore. That's just mainstream. Anybody here meet their significant other online? Exactly. Match.com, eHarmony, those things are like $30, $40 a month. Then they got the free ones like Plenty of Fish and OkCupid, which is like, I'm not gonna put a dollar amount on the amount of effort I'm gonna put towards my love life. But if I was, zero. Here's a problem with online dating. You never truly know what you're gonna get until you meet that person in person, right? Which is why I think these sites should start incorporating user reviews. You wanna buy a dustbuster, you get to go on Amazon and read what other people that have already used that dustbuster have to say about it.
Everybody wants to get rich quick. I'd love to get rich on a game show like Jeopardy, but I'm so bad at Jeopardy. I don't know, I would never win on that show. So to guarantee cash in hand, I would sell my answer space for corporate advertising. The Mona Lisa was painted here. Yes, Keith. What is Gatorade? Why do you keep saying that, Keith? You lose. Oh, do I, Alex?
If you could ask a financial advisor just one question, what would it be? Here's one we hear from a lot of people. What estate planning mistakes do you commonly see people make?
Well, the number one biggest mistake is the fact that they just don't do anything with regard to wills and trusts. It is the fact that they just sort of think nothing's ever going to happen, they're not going to die, they don't need to put affairs in order, they're always going to be able to speak for themselves. And so I think that not having done anything is probably the single biggest thing.
The average person is not capable of navigating an estate plan. There are several parts that have to be addressed, and most people are not able to do that on their own.
One of the most common mistakes I see in estate planning is titling assets between generations. For example, a parent titling an investment account jointly with their child. And they'll do it for flexibility, for convenience, or perhaps they'll do it to avoid probate. The problem is that it can result in additional taxes or unnecessary taxes for the child later on.
Estate planning is vitally important, but so is finding joy in the little things in life. To show us how, here's my wife and company co-founder, Jean, with The Other Side of Money.
It's important to find joy in the little things because we do have big goals. You know, we want to get to school, we want to have a good job, we want a nice home, we want a nice car. But if we're not enjoying the moments getting there, we're not going to enjoy the end of the journey. You know, we're not going to enjoy that car because we worked so hard to get it and we're really tired and we ignored our family and we ignored our friends and everybody's mad at us, but we have a really nice car. Well, how does that make us happy? Finding joy in the small moments of the day. Our dogs are a great help for me in just taking walks with them and watching them be outside and run around after the squirrels. And we've got this one little dog, Vicky, and she starts her day out with just grabbing a toy and just heading out and just having fun. And so Rick and I kind of take some lessons from her in just going out and having a good time during the day, just finding those small moments of maybe quiet or a wonderful interaction with a friend or a coworker, or just sitting down and enjoying a cup of tea and the newspaper in the morning without the noise of the day around us. A couple tips for finding that center and that quiet space in our day. To get out of, I'm going to say, the tornado of the day. The tornado, because we just kind of get sucked into what's happening, and it'd be a little bit better for us if we could step out of that. So that's just taking a walk. That's if you're working, that's getting out of the office, going outside, take a walk, get a nice cup of tea or coffee to kind of step out of the whirlwind of the moment and take time for yourself.
Thanks, Jean. Some final words about this week's program that might help improve your financial future. 3D printing is here, it's real, and it's on the verge of reshaping how we create, manufacture, and deliver goods. If you're in the market to buy a car, never, and I mean never, use retirement money to pay for it. And no matter where you are financially, always remember Jean's advice about finding joy in the little things. It can make a big difference. And that's The Truth About Money. I'm Ric Edelman. See you next time. To learn more about the topics we discussed on this episode and a chance to ask your questions, visit our website at truthaboutmoneytv.com. And stay connected by liking us on Facebook and following us on Twitter.